If you're new to the world of 3D, it might take just a little time to get used to the idea that although you're working on a flat two-dimensional computer screen, you're actually controlling and hanging out in a three-dimensional environment. And that means you'll be manipulating not just a world that goes up and down and left and right, but also an area that goes in and out. You've got a dimension of depth, in other words, to deal with. And for many, that additional dimension takes a little bit of time to get used to, both in the way you see things and in the way you think about tackling your work. You know, visualizing things in 3D might be a little easier if you approach your computer screen in the same way you approach driving a car. You know how in driving, your ability to navigate is made much easier if you keep your eyes looking out all the windows of your vehicle and not just the one directly in front of you. Cruising down the road, you look at the entire picture, right? From all the angles and from all your windows. Well, working in a computerized 3D world ought to be approached pretty much the very same way. It's imperative that you keep all the different views in mind and in play. When you create something on your screen, that object will be displayed in a series of windows, each box being referred to as a viewport. Those viewports represent your windows into your 3D world, each pointing in a different direction, and just like with the windows in your car, each offering a different look or angle at the world you're living in. So as you begin building your 3D scenes, in order to avoid both confusion and possibly an obstacle or two in your scene that might pop up to get in your way, you got to keep your eyes not just open, but continually moving from one window to another in order to take it all in, to get all the angles. That's going to be essential. As we get a little deeper into the title, I'll be talking about the fact that 3ds Max assigns each of those dimensions, those three directions on your screen, with a specific letter. Those letters being X, Y, and Z. All 3D programs pretty much use the same letter way of thinking. For now, though, we're going to keep things nice and easy until we get our feet more firmly on the ground. So I'll be identifying those three directions for now simply as up and down, left and right, and in and out. We'll be meaning X, Y, and Z, but we'll keep those official labels off to the side until we get a little better handle on things. Now, as you start moving things around, you're going to find that Max gives you a very helpful little icon that pops directly on top of the object you're working on. That icon is called the Transformation Gizmo, or Gizmo for short. The gizmo always displays in three specific colors: red, green, and blue. But its shape will change, which will serve as a visual reminder as to whether you're ready to move, rotate, or scale the object you're working on. Think of the gizmo as your scene compass, as it visually displays the directions in which you can manipulate your scene objects. Once you get comfortable with how you read it, you'll find it indispensable when it comes to keeping your bearing straight, making it easy to go up and down, in and out, and back and forth. We'll be going over all of this in detail throughout the title, so for now, I just want you to get the overall concept of what the gizmo is and what it's used for. So here's what's important to know as we get going. You gotta think of your viewports as like windows in a car. And just like when driving down the road, you're gonna want to be keeping your eyes moving from one viewport window to another. That's in order to ensure that you get the big picture, that you see the entire scene, in other words. That's what's going to enable you to keep things straight in your head. The other important thing to remember is that when you do start moving things around, you're going to want to make sure to use the Transformation Gizmo to make that job a little easier. You must get in the habit of using that little guy. It's your friend. Take advantage of it. That's why it's there. You keep those two things straight, eyes on all the windows and making full use of the gizmo, and you'll be up and running in no time. It'll probably take a couple of times to get the routine down, but once you've got it, that's when the real fun begins, as you start creating things with all that creativity you're toting around.